Hi. So today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what self-care is and what it means to me personally. So you've probably seen a ton of videos about self-care, right? Everybody's talking about it. It's not a new concept. It's not, something that, or maybe it is something that you've heard for the first time. But it seems to be a pretty big buzzword, and especially with the pandemic still going on, even though we want to believe that it's almost over, we still need to engage in self care. And so I thought, you know what? Let's talk a little bit about what self care is, and maybe why you should even get started on it. So, a little bit about me. I do have some experience with self care. I actually did some research into it a few years ago, and I found out that, without engaging in self care, we actually can burn out. We actually can lose our crap. We actually can get to the point where everything is too much. Just the day to day life could just be too much. And so let's start with, what is self care? Well, the thing with self care is that it's really about the person that's doing it, right? It's about the person that's engaging in it. Ultimately, self care is a way for you to take care of yourself. And we're not just talking about mental health, we're talking about your mind, your body, and your spirit. And so when you're doing self care, ultimately the goal is to take care of all parts of you, not just your mental health. So when you think about self care, what do you think about? What comes to mind? What's something that maybe you've thought about doing? Find a purpose, find a reason why you're doing it. And maybe your reason is your doctor has told you that you're super stressed out and you need to do something about it. And that's okay. If that's the reason why you're doing it, that's totally fine. Maybe you've noticed that you're experiencing some signs of burnout, and burnout can seem like very little patience, no motivation. Maybe you're on the verge of crying, which was me, is me sometimes. Um, just everything irritates you, or maybe you're just feeling some extreme depression. So you could be experiencing burnout. Maybe you're initially experiencing burnout. Maybe you're in full burnout mode. And if you are there, it doesn't mean that doing self-care is not a good idea. In fact, at any stage, any time that you want to engage in burnout, it's a good time for you to do it. So don't wait. Start now, right? Why not? Any time is a good time for you to start. For many of us, especially if we have been struggling with motivation, getting started can seem completely overwhelming, right? Because when you think about what are some ways that you can do self-care, you can go on the internet and Google self-care and you'll get lists and ideas and recommendations and opinions. Everybody has an opinion on how to do self-care. Ultimately, though, it really depends on what works for you. It's almost like, think of when you go shopping for shoes, right? Maybe you're the kind of person that the first pair of shoes that you see, they work, they're fine. Whatever it is that you need them for, it's going to be fine. You don't do a lot of shopping. Just grab them, pay for them, and go. Or maybe you're kind of like me. I do my research. I want to see what other reviews are saying. I want to see what other people are saying. Specifically, what are these shoes for? For instance, personally, I love Vans, slip-on Vans. And maybe I have a slight addiction. I don't know. I wouldn't call it an addiction. I would just call it dedication, maybe, to Vans. So whenever I think about buying some new Vans, and obviously I never have enough Vans, but whenever I think about buying some new Vans, I think about, okay, first let's go see what the Vans store has, right? So I'll specifically put things like because I like slip-ons, I also like flowers. And Vans has been amazing about making slip-on shoes with flowers. And so I'll stroll and look and see what other people are saying about particular shoes, um, especially if they have flowers and especially if they're super comfortable. And so, after I give it some consideration, after I look at all the options, then I make my selection. So you can really approach self-care the same way. You can do research. You can see what works for other people. You can see probably what are some of the benefits that other people are getting from it. But again, ultimately, you need to try what works for you. You need to do what works for you, because otherwise what's going to end up happening is you're going to stop doing it, right? Why do something that you're not getting any pleasure out of, you're not getting any joy out of? Especially because the whole purpose of doing self-care is for you to help, for you to feel grounded, for you to feel like, you know what? I feel good. I feel like I have enough emotional resources to go about my day, or to face this really difficult challenge, or to continue to work on my relationship with my partner, or to ... you fill in the blank. So again, why are you doing self-care? And once you understand and you're like, you know what, I found something, I want to try it, let's try it. Let's get started. Find your purpose and your meaning. Again, why are you doing self-care? Maybe, like I mentioned earlier, your doctor told you, your therapist told you, your counselor told you, or just your partner's like, you need to do something about what's going on with you. Maybe your friends have told you that. They've noticed that you're super stressed. They noticed that you're losing your shit pretty often. And, if it has gotten to the point, again, find your purpose and your meaning for doing self-care. If you don't have a purpose, it's going to be very easy for you to stop doing it. Because if we don't have a purpose for things, then there's really no reason to do something, right? So find your purpose, find your meaning. It could just be that, you want to improve your mental health, you want to improve your physical health. Maybe, and I know that I do this myself, I want to be happier. I want to feel more fulfilled. I want to feel like I am working on myself. Maybe it's personal development. Maybe it's just me being able to understand what it's like to be proactive about my anxiety, be proactive about my depression, be proactive about nurturing and taking care of my mental health when I'm able to. Because a lot of times what happens is when we get to that point where we're too stressed out, when we get to that point where depression is crippling and we struggle to get out of bed and we just struggle to be human, it's very difficult to think about, okay, let's try a new self-care activity. Not that it's impossible, it's just very difficult. However, if you have tried some self-care activities that you're like, you know what, this works, this helps, I want to continue to do this, then you have an idea of what works for you. And there's a higher probability that you will go back and do that activity if you enjoyed it, if you liked it, if you have a purpose, if you have a reason for doing it, then possibly try something new. Unless you are that kind of person that's like, yeah, I'm feeling really depressed and I'm gonna go try something new. Not saying that there are people like that. There definitely are, but the probability of that is probably going to be very low. Finding what works for you. Again, variety, so much. We live in a world where, for the most part, at least in the country that I live in the state that I live in the situation that I'm in, I have a variety of things that I'm able to try, whether I go to the beach, whether I grab a book and just do some reading, whether I take a nap, whether, and this is just recently, and mostly because my daughter got me started on it, I started sketching. And it was very scary because I'm the kind of person that likes things to be perfect. So yes, I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, and yes, that continuously feeds my anxiety, and yes, I'll have another podcast about that. But she started sketching, and I thought, wow, she's like really good at this. And I had done some research on the benefits of doodling, on the benefits of doing just creating mantras. Are they called mantras? Maybe they're not called mantras. Those things that you color in, that there's coloring books. Yeah. So, as I was watching some videos with my daughter about, how to draw, there's a lot of really good tips about, what? Just let your creativity out. Just without any judgment, without any need for things to be perfect, just try it. The only way that you're gonna get better at it is to start slow, start from the beginning, learn, see what happens for you. But again, to me, sketching, to me, coloring, it's just about, giving my brain a break from all the anxiety, all of the stress that I feel on a daily basis, from all of my responsibilities, from all of the problems that I walk with every day, from things that are just constantly on my mind. It's just a way for me to let go. And then finally, have fun. One of the probably bad things, downsides of growing up is that we forget to have fun, right? As kids, we want to grow up so that we're able to do anything that we want. And then when we become grown-ups, we realize that doing anything that we want takes a lot of money, and it takes time, and you have to work, and you have responsibilities, and you have bills, and dot, 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 right? And we forget to have fun. Or we try and schedule fun and do things that we think are going to be fun, but we're so tired from just being human, from everyday things, that we don't have enough energy to do fun things. So have fun. Do you remember what that's like? If you don't, then maybe start there. What was something that you really enjoyed doing as a kid? Was there something specific that you enjoyed doing as a kid? And unless you become a creeper, maybe it's something that you might want to revisit. Maybe it's something that you want to try again. It's funny because the other day, I forget who I was talking to, we were talking about going roller skating. I haven't gone roller skating since maybe 8th grade? Yeah, long time ago. And just thinking about going roller skating, the negative side of me is like, you're too old, you're probably gonna fall on your butt and maybe even break a bone, there's no time, it costs money, dot, 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 right? A whole bunch of reasons why not to do it. But then the other side of me is like, but you had fun. Whenever you went, long time ago, you had fun because it was effortless, because you actually really enjoyed being on the rink and listening to the music and being around friends and not having to worry about a lot of things. So maybe that's something that I need to consider as a new self-care activity, right? Again, find what works for you. Remember, it's about having fun. It's about finding joy. It's about finding purpose. It's about letting go, because the whole purpose, the whole idea behind self-care is to take care of you, take care of me. Because considering my situation, there's a very low possibility that somebody's gonna come and say, let me take care of you, unless I'm sick. Then maybe my mom will do it, or no, I can't say that my kids will do it, but maybe my mom would do it. But ultimately, it's my responsibility to care and nurture my health. Whether it's mental, whether it's physical, whether it's spiritual, it is my responsibility, and I do need to do it, because you know what? I am the expert on me. Other people can tell me what to do, and I can listen and possibly take the recommendations, and that may work. But ultimately, I am the expert of me. So remember that. You are the expert of you. You know your body best. You know your mind best. You know what works for you. So have fun. Try it. Well, thank you so much for joining me today and having kind of a conversation about what self-care is. Hopefully something resonates with you, something really stood out for you. If it has, put it in the comments, let me know. I'm curious to see what types of self-care activities you do. Until next time, be well, have a great day.